Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Chasing Collectibles Catchup. I'm Tyler, and we are at the time of this posting, we're only a few days away from Nerdfest, a third one. It's gonna be on March 21st at Sullivan Middle School from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And we're trying to have some vendors on here in the lead up to it. And we're excited to have Russ here with Capitaland Collectibles. He is also AKA Tim's dealer. So Tim has spent many,
Make it sound like I
many.
sell him things I'm not supposed to sell him. Let's be clear. I'm selling Tim uh, little men. Let's be
Yes.
more clear. I'm selling Tim little plastic men. I'm selling Tim action figures. We can edit that out in post. We can edit that out. We'll fix it.
But no, he's it's funny about Tim and I when we'll go to shows, we'll do all right, and like his wife Courtney will be there, and Tim will be like, "I'll be right back." Tim goes off somewhere, and he comes back with a toy, and Courtney's like, "What did you do?" He's like, "Well, I had like you don't understand. This was a great deal," and me and Courtney both like, you know, but I mean, we're happy he's happy, so.
Yeah, yeah.
But sometimes bringing him to a show is like bringing like an alcoholic to a bar. It's kind of unfair, but
I feel like this is a little bit healthier, but
right,
but
it's
maybe
healthy.
maybe
It's healthier.
a similar sense of satisfaction. I would think. I just saw
Right.
him at the Morganton Comic Con this past weekend,
Yeah.
and he had a whole tote of toys waiting for him at the show from all my live shows and everything. So I brought him his own bin to the
Nice.
show.
Well, I know he appreciates it. So I usually start this off by asking people like, what is your nerd origin story? Like, how'd you get into all of this?
So that's actually a really good question, and I remember you and I had gone over a couple things leading up to this, and I had to spend some time really thinking about that. And it all started because I remember getting a Masters of the Universe He-Man figure when I was a kid. And for those of you that grew up with them, now Tyler, I'm positive that you're not an '80s kid.
I was born in '96, so.
Okay, child, nice. Anyway, I was buying Star Wars figures in 1996. So I got a He-Man figure and all of the original '80s He-Man figures, something that they've duplicated in the new Origins line, which I have over here. I don't know if it's probably off camera. You get a mini comic with the figures.
Mm,
Now, when you're really little, it's cool to look at the pictures, but you're looking at one picture, and there's some guy running around in like this pinkish purple vest, and then on the next page, all of a sudden, he's He-Man, and you're like, "How did this? I don't understand," because I couldn't read yet.
right.
So I ended up learning how to read through He-Man mini comics at age
Mm,
3 because I was buying the figures, and I was like, "I don't understand if this is a good guy or a bad guy." Even though it says it on the packaging, gotta be able to read to say,
right.
"Hey, this is
Exactly.
Horde. Hey, this is Skeletor. Hey, this is He-Man." So I wanted to show you. There was an omnibus that came out some years back that collected all of the He-Man mini comics that were
Oh,
ever
that's
made,
awesome.
and this is like really special to me. This is probably it's not even like particularly rare or valuable. It's
Mhm.
just all of the mini comics here because all of mine are frayed and worn and had stains on them from drinking
Right.
Ecto Cooler while I was reading them. So. As far as an origin story, I would definitely say I got into this because the toys were so different back
Mm,
then. Like there were entire worlds that were brand new. Like everybody knows Masters of the Universe now, but back then it was a brand new thing.
right.
And the toys came out before the cartoon did. So all of a
Yeah.
sudden you have these figures. Well, now they're on the TV. Now you can watch them Saturday morning, and they're
Mm,
making cereal. So now you can eat that cereal, flip through your little mini comics during the commercial, play with your toys, and watch it on the TV. It was this whole world that
yeah.
was being unpacked for kids.
Well, that was something different about the '80s too, because I feel like that doesn't have, it's almost the reverse order now. Like there might be a show and then they make a line based on the show or the movie.
Yeah.
But like back then it was like, no, here's the toy. Okay, you like the toy, here's the show, which is pretty cool.
Yep. And it ended up they actually made I couldn't tell you what government body, and I don't know. It was some kind of standards and practice for television shows, but they ended up making laws because essentially GI Joe, Ninja Turtles, He-Man, Silverhawks, Thundercats. I mean, I could go on and on and on. They were 20 to 30-minute toy commercials.
Hmm.
They really
Yeah.
were. So like some kid would watch Ninja Turtles, which was a worldwide phenomenon when that came out. When that cartoon came out, every single birthday party you went to in 1988, the gifts were Ninja Turtles. The party
Hmm.
supplies were Ninja Turtles. Like everybody, it was
Yeah.
nuts. So just like the He-Man world, that exploded, and it unpacked this whole thing because it was every multimedia everything. And then when video game consoles came out, well, now you got video games too,
Yeah.
and
Just
that's
so much,
what's
so
going
much
on. I mean,
synergy and
the
potential.
Turtles game came out like 4 or 5 years ago. They made another game, and they're planning
Yeah.
on doing another one. So
Hmm. Well, even now, and then we could do probably a whole episode just on the 80s, but like there's still like I think that as that generation has like grown up and now is like of age, like creating shows and like there's so many, remakes and there's so many, shows that still kind of ongoing even. I mean, just like what, a few years ago, there's another Ninja Turtles movie that was really cool, the animated one. So they're still doing stuff with it.
yeah, and I think as long as they pay respect to the original stuff, and as long as they have writers, for a lack of better terms, that are actual fans of the
Mhm.
franchise, I think it'll do really well. Because another whole tangent we could get off on is things being created without voices or writing from people that actually care about working on
Right.
said project. You know,
Yeah, for sure.
that was evident in quite a few Marvel films after
Yeah.
the 10 mark.
Yeah, I think even after we could go on a whole tangent about like Marvel's kind of like you know
Yeah.
highs and lows after Endgame. Um, so then how did you like kind of collecting then kind of translate into like collectibles when you started like actually like selling and setting up at shows and all that?
So after a while, like once you get to be, at least when I was growing up, once I got to be a young teenager, I was like, I need money. I was
Valid,
like,
yes.
this is kind of BS walking everywhere. Like I need a bike. I can't use the bike I got when I was 6. I don't fit on that anymore. I'm 6 feet tall now. I have to figure something out. And you can't get a
Mhm.
car when you're 12. So I was like, I need to buy a bike. I got to start working. Well, you go around and I'm like, oh, I have some old comics I don't read anymore. Hey, these are
Mhm.
worth what? What are you talking about?
Yeah,
And I bring them to a comic shop and they give you money for them. I'm like, oh, cool. And then after a while, I was like, okay, well, if I buy myself a figure that I know I've had a really hard time finding, maybe I'll buy a second one, and then I can either trade that for other figures or I can sell that off later on. This is before eBay too.
right.
And then when eBay came out, anybody that had anything, you're like, oh my god, I've got this Sharpie that Tara Strong was holding at a convention. It's $100. Put it on eBay. You literally sell what the hell you want.
Right.
But it turned more into a business after years of personally having different careers and doing different things. I finished college. I was a banker for a little while. I'm not gonna say the name of the bank. It doesn't matter. It's a big
Yeah.
bank. I worked for the government for a little while. I ran restaurants and managed bars for a little bit. And with each of those, I was like, I've learned enough from this that I'm ready to be done.
Mhm.
And then in like probably 2015, I came home from overseas and I was like, I think I can finally open my own business. Like I
Yeah.
have I have enough knowledge of how the world works. Finally, I have
Mhm.
enough. I have enough set aside for myself. I can do this. And I called Hasbro, and they didn't answer, of course. So I sent them an email, and they sent me an automatic reply with something to the extent of, if you want to sign up to be one of our contractors, if you can meet this purchasing amount, and it was a lot of zeros, Tyler. If you meet this purchasing amount, then we can do business. And I was like, oh crap.
Yeah.
But I could do it. I was like, I
Mhm.
know I know how to do this. I've seen what people have at shows. I've seen what people want online because I'm in all those communities because I'm a collector myself. This is what I'm
Mhm.
doing. And I know, not to sound any certain way, but like I know a good figure when I see one, and I know another figure that I'm like, that one's not as cool. It doesn't have
Yeah.
the articulation, or it doesn't have the paint apps, or it doesn't have the accessories, or it's a repaint from a figure 4 years ago, whatever.
Hmm.
So having all that knowledge, I contacted them again and I was like, yeah, let's do this. And I made that initial order and they delivered it with a freight truck. It was more
Wow.
figures than I had ever seen and in one spot in my life. And I was like, oh boy, I hope
Must have
I
felt
make
very real.
it felt very, very real. And I said to my girlfriend at the time, who is now my fiance, I said, I really hope I didn't make a mistake. And she goes, I'll never forget this. She was like, if you work half as hard at this as you did overseas or in any of those restaurants or for any of the people that you've made money for before in your life, she's like, you'll be fine. She's
Yeah,
like, you'll be fine. Uh, I had that entire shipment gone in 6 months from
that's
doing
awesome.
conventions. And it was really, really hard. I'm not going to pretend like it was easy. I had
Mm.
to rent a vehicle every single weekend because I didn't have enough money to buy a vehicle at the time.
Mhm.
I had to pay for show spots, which luckily I won't name names. Some of these guys were awesome enough to be like, "Give me a couple figures, I'll give you a table." I'm like,
Yeah,
"Deal, done." And I
right.
got in good with a lot of showrunners and a lot of people. I met Tim. Um, I met Keith Gibbs, who runs Fayetteville Comic Con, does an awesome job up there. I met Dave and Rick, who run Charlotte Comic Con, do an awesome
Yeah,
job
great
there.
guys.
Um, I kept meeting people as the time went, and then I was able to contact Mattel and get a Mattel contract because I couldn't do both at the same time. There was no, I would have had to sell the house. Like there was no
Yeah.
way. And I got in with them, and then I got a hold of NECA, and I got in with them, and then I got a hold of Super Seven and Plastic Meatball and all these other companies that manufacture toys. And I was like, hey, here's my business name, here's my information, I want a contract. And they were like, cool, give us this much, we'll send you a truck full of toys. I was like, done. And it's
Nice.
worked out pretty well with all of them. The only
Yeah.
hiccup was last year with the tariff situation. Last year
Mm.
was a little bit
Yeah.
expensive. Last year
I
was
can
very
imagine.
big.
Yeah, that could be some uncertainty there. Yeah.
uh, the Japanese products got hit the hardest because the shipping from Japan went from like $15 or $17 for a case of 24 figures to like $78 a
Oh,
case.
dang.
And I was like, and then on top of that, they wanted to charge an extra 22% to 28% for product. So it's like, guys, I can't
Yeah. Hmm.
hold my account open, but I can't, not right now.
Yeah. Well, I think I heard that there's a lot of even like comics are made in, like printed in Canada, which at a point when they were talking about like the tariffs, like, oh, would that impact the comics? So I know there was a lot of tariff discussion, and still kind of ongoing. So um,
Yeah, it's a little bit better than it was last year, but I mean, March is exactly a year ago that it started. So
yeah.
let's see what happens. I mean, there's no, if there's one thing I know from working for the government, it's that you don't know what's going to
No.
happen. So
Well,
I think it'll eventually get better because when big companies lose business, not to say that you and I don't have voices, but our voices don't matter as much as theirs do.
yeah.
Billions of dollars toy companies and comic companies are
Yeah,
starting to be like, hey, we're not making enough money, then stuff
like
gets
I
loud.
teach government in high school, so I teach them all about lobbyists. These corporations, they have lobbyists who will talk to them and be like, "Hey, we got to do something here." So,
Yep.
well, we shall see. Um, well, I thought so. If we got Nerdfest coming up this upcoming Saturday, based on when this is going to be released. If someone's never been to your booth before, what could they expect to find?
A lot of a lot of almost entirely action figures. So I have a lot of people that come by and kind of what I call rubbernecking. They just do this
Yeah.
really quick, and then they go, "Where are the Pokemon cards?" And I was like, "I'm sorry, I don't sell." Oh, okay, goodbye. And then they're gone. I tried bringing comics to a show about 4 years ago, and I have some pretty good ones in my own personal collection. Like I have a solid maybe 20 or 30 long boxes of like 70s and 80s comics that are like key issues. And
Mm.
I made the mistake of bringing them to a show. And when I say I made the mistake of bringing them to a show, all of the comic vendors, all of them, it was like a pack of vultures.
They smelled it out. They're like, hold on.
Yeah, and I had them. I had stuff priced low. I won't totally get into it, but like if I had like a $50 book, I had like $30 on it. They're like, hey man, $10. I'm like, I'm just gonna put these under the table. Where I'm
Yeah,
not gonna. We're not
right.
gonna do this all day. I'm not gonna do this. So to answer your question, everything at the booth is toys. It's
Mhm.
all toys. I don't do anything with cards. I don't do anything with comics, although I'm an avid comic reader and I absolutely love comic books. Um, it's all going to be action figures. It's going to be predominantly like the big five companies that produce figures, which is going to
Mhm.
be not in any certain order, but Hasbro, Mattel, NECA, Super 7, and then I would say some of the independent stuff. I saw a little bit of independent. Mondo, I guess, can't be considered independent because they're owned by Funko. So I would say Mondo, and Mondo is
Yeah.
a big company because their parent company is Funko. Are you familiar with Mondo? A lot of people
I
are
actually am
not.
not. So I'm not as much of an avid toy collector as Tim is. But what is Mondo?
So Mondo figures, I have to give you an idea for comparison. So this is a Marvel. This is one of my current favorites. This is a Marvel Legends Punisher figure, right? This is a 6-inch scale. Okay.
Right.
That's the figure right there. He's fully posable. I don't know how many points of articulation, but a lot. Okay.
Mhm.
This is a Mondo figure. Give me just a second. The other wall not facing the camera, I have an entire
Oh
line
yeah,
of.
yeah. So much
So it's,
taller.
yeah, way, 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 way bigger. Super attention to detail. Has the same amount of articulation as Marvel Legends, if not more, on some of the figures. But they are what I would consider adult collectibles. Whereas this,
Mhm.
I mean, anybody can collect this. There's no age on it. I don't see a lot of 10-year-olds coming up and going, "Oh my god, the $300 X-Men '97 Wolverine figure."
Yeah, yeah.
As far as that, it's a whole different game with those
So
figures.
what would you say? Because I'm not as into like buying figures. I like to look. I do a lot of looking, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't buy a lot of figures. What's like the hottest thing right now? Because I know at one point like Funkos are really big. I know like McFarlane figures are really big right now. Like, so what are some like the most like popular things that are like selling for you right now? In the past year or so.
So, not only in the past year, but since the series have started, Marvel Legends does really, really well. GI Joe Classified does really, really well, which is Hasbro's 6-inch premier GI Joe line. Um, I would say the McFarlane stuff does well depending on the character. They currently have the DC license, but they're going to be losing it later this year. I think in quarter 3 or maybe early quarter 4. So that's going to switch over to Mattel. So I'll still be selling DC stuff, but it's going to be a whole different box art, design,
Right.
toy line, all that. The Mondos do really, really well at bigger shows because we're usually the only people that have them.
Hmm. Yeah.
They're not for everyone specifically because of price, but when someone knows what they are and has been looking for them because they're almost impossible to get online once they sell out, someone at a show will buy the whole rack of them.
Hmm.
So as far as selling, I would definitely say the Hasbro stuff, and then for Mattel, for now until they get the DC license, I would say the Masters of the Universe stuff, and
Gotcha.
then we have a pretty solid a pretty solid crowd of like slasher film fans and like horror community people that are into all the NECA figures. NECA predominantly makes horror related toys: Jason,
Right.
Freddy, Chucky, Leatherface, Ghostface, all
Hmm.
that. Um, so it's all of that stuff, but it's kind of equal. It just depends on the show. Like if we do a GI Joe centric show, like Joe Lanta or Joe Fest,
Right. You're
then
clearly
every
gonna bring.
will be gone like by the
Yeah.
end of the week.
Hmm.
If we do an anime show, I'm happy to sell anything.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
some people that go for figures, and there are some people that just only go for like anime related stuff. But it's nice.
Hmm.
It's nice to be like the one guy that's selling
Yeah.
non-anime figures at a show because then all the business comes my way.
This is more of a technical question because I think I've seen your setup and you have like you've got like a wall, but then it's got like the hooks coming out of it.
That's
I
called
know.
the Tower of Power, Tyler.
So my apologies. The Tower of Power.
No, it's not.
Uh,
No, I wasn't offended. I'm just saying
no,
that's
I'm
what
just.
we call it. Yeah.
Um, is that like? Because I mean, we have like our wall, and that can be sometimes a pain to put up. Is that tricky? Like at this point, I'm sure you got to a science, but is it time consuming putting that up or?
It takes about 10 minutes only because so my father-in-law works the shows with me.
Okay,
Um, he's essentially like he's like the entire logistics arm of the company. Like
nice.
anything up with the vehicles, he's like, we need to do this, we need to do this, we need to do this. I'm like, okay, here's the card. Show me what to do.
Right. Yeah.
I do all like the sales and talking to people, and then he's the one. He helps me do like inventory management. He's the one that came up with the tower concept and was like, we could make this X amount of feet tall, X amount of feet wide, and then you can just fill this thing full of hooks. And the cool thing is, you can put the hooks on it however you want, so it doesn't matter that all of the toys you're selling are different shapes and sizes. It won't matter because you can
Right.
organize them however you want. So we have a whole
Yeah.
side of like GI Joe, a whole side of like Star Wars, a whole side of DC, a whole side of Marvel. It can literally
Hmm.
be whatever we need it to be at the time. And on a bad day, that tower will fit between 300 and 400 standard size figures like this.
Wow.
If the boxes are a little bit bigger, it's a little bit less. It also depends on the show because some shows I don't pack it out all the way because it does take a while to hang it all up. But it's disgustingly heavy. I will tell you that much. It's very, very hard to move by myself or with any one person. It's really better to have two of us. And
Yeah.
I sliced myself at Morganton every time I move that thing. I
Oof.
cut myself on it because I've cut like the zip ties too short, and then they're just
Yeah.
little tiny daggers all over it, and I'm like, oh god, I gotta
Brutal.
pull this off.
But I've seen the tower before, and it's always like impressive. And one of the cool things about shows is like if it's like a mobile, it's like a bunch of stores have essentially opened up within the space of the gym, and like it
Yeah,
really feels like you're in a shop as you're looking at the tower, which is pretty neat.
yeah, and it's nice to have. It's the one instance where it's nice that everything in the restaurant industry, we used to say mise en place, which means everything has its place. You
Yeah.
can have you can have it all kind of segregated. Like the Star Wars stuff has its own whole wall. So
Hmm.
somebody comes up and they're like, "Do you have Star Wars?" And it's on the other side, and they just haven't seen
Yeah.
it. I'm like, that whole 7 foot section is all Star Wars, and they just go,
Right.
"Oh my god!" And they just start filling their arms. I think the only thing for like really, really big conventions that I might start doing, and I've said this mostly as a joke, but I've started to consider it for real, is giving people like baskets. Because
Yeah, that'd
you
be
get
cool.
these guys that come up and they're like, yeah, man, I just came back from a deployment, or I got married a couple months ago, or I just had a kid, so I was out of collecting. I'm a couple months behind, but I want all the GI Joes from this wave to this wave, and they just start filling their arms, and I'm like, if I had a basket for this dude,
Right.
he just put all this in here,
It'd be like Toys R Us back in the day.
Yeah, you can buy Toys R Us baskets, but it's always like really scummy people selling them online for
Mm, yeah.
absolutely incredibly ridiculous amounts of money. But otherwise, I think that would be a
Yeah.
cool.
But speaking of online, I know like Tim's actually talked to me about this, how you've got a live stream also that you do, which is
I
pretty
do.
cool. Like you've got like, you show things off and like people will be able to reserve things and you even have like your choice wheels. That's pretty cool how you've done kind of the online thing as well, kind of making like a show of it.
Well, that actually, it's funny that you brought that up. That was 1,000% out of necessity, Tyler. So
Mm,
I was getting ready to purchase a building for the business. Like it was at this. We're talking pre-COVID, okay?
right.
So real estate wasn't as insane as it is now, and insane is a nice way to put it. Uh, I was planning on getting a building and then putting a shop in the bottom and putting either an apartment or some other space in the top somebody can rent out and do something with.
Mhm.
And everything was going well. I hadn't signed anything yet. And then COVID happened. And so everything got put on hold for like a year, and
Mhm.
nothing could be done. You were not allowed to open a business. You were not allowed to interact with people outside in any way, shape, or form. There was nothing that could have been done. So I couldn't get the building, and it ended up falling through.
Jeez.
Uh, it all got messed up, and it also, on kind of a sub level of that, it got messed up because the guy went from wanting like 200 and change for the building to 900 and change for the building because COVID real estate prices. And I
Mm.
went,
Yeah. No,
no, dude.
that's
I was like,
huge
do you think
jump.
I have almost $1 million? I'm selling toys, man.
Right.
I can't,
No.
we can't do this.
Yeah.
Luckily, I hadn't signed anything, so I didn't, get
Yeah.
buried on that deal. But I started doing stuff online to keep the business alive. It was a brand new business, Tyler. I had only been doing it for a couple of years, and I had
Mm.
only been doing a couple shows. I didn't have the resources because of getting the contracts that I got with companies. I had to make sure that their bills were paid so that they weren't like, "Hey, we're cutting you off. We're not doing this anymore." So
Right.
again, I couldn't open a shop. I couldn't get a vehicle for the business. I couldn't anything. And I was like, "Wait a second. I'm in like a million toy groups on Facebook. I follow all these people doing toy related things on Instagram. Why don't I do a live show?" And I did a live show with just like 2 boxes of stuff that I had, and I sold everything, Tyler.
Yeah.
Like to the point where I ended up stopping the show this is years ago. I ended up stopping the show after like an hour and a half because I was like, I don't have anything else, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll do another one next week.
That must have been a cool feeling.
Yeah, it was awesome. And then I ended up giving the show a name. I started calling it Thirsty Thursday. So my other thing, when I worked in restaurants, I was always the bar manager and the beer guy. Like I
Right.
was the guy who was like, this sucks, don't order this. No, we don't need 19 IPAs on tap. You need two of this, two of this, two of this. So on
Mhm.
Thursdays, I would always have a couple beers and talk to people about toys and stuff. And I would tell people, I'm like, I'll make everyone a deal. Every time there's a bid or every time something sells, I'll take another drink. And then people in the comments are like, the deals are going to get better. You just gotta get them drunk early on. I'm like, no. So
Nice.
we ended up doing Thirsty Thursday, and I would sit and have a couple beers and show everybody all the new figures and everything that came out, and talk about that stuff.
Mhm.
And it kept growing. I didn't think I was going to be doing it for very long because I was like, okay, when this wears out and everything returns to normal after COVID, I'm going to open the store. I got so busy with the online business, like in a matter of, I think 4 years, we went from having 0 followers. I think I gained maybe 12 the first time I did a show. And then after a couple shows, it went up to a couple hundred. And now I think we're sitting at almost 8,000, or like
Wow.
7,900 and change, and only
That's
selling
awesome.
toys. Like I don't take my shirt off during the show or anything, Tyler. It's so
That's after
boring.
midnight.
Like it. Yeah, after midnight. We used to do a Saturday show, but I just can't. I can't keep up anymore. I can't.
Well,
Oh,
that's
it's
busy. I'm
conventions on Saturday,
yeah.
but yeah, the online show got created essentially out of necessity, and then it grew to the point where I was like, okay, I'll keep doing it.
All right.
And then
Well, it's
I ended up. I met Tim. I met Tim in person first, which I
mhm.
normally meet people online, like through the shows, and then I see them at conventions and stuff. But
Right.
I would be situated next to Tim. This is in like 2021 and 2022, and he kept being my con neighbor
Right.
at shows, and he would be like, "Oh, I'm next to you again." He's like, "I guess I'm buying toys." I'm like, "I guess we have a good day."
Right.
Like, and
Yeah.
so I was talking to him, and so he's been talking to me about this show and you guys and him doing his convention for like years. And as
Mhm.
soon as you guys got together and he got together with Derek, and he was like, hey man, I remember he messaged me and was like, it's finally happening. Like we're gonna do a show. We're putting it together. I was like, tell me when, dude. I'll
Right.
tell me when. I will be
Yeah.
there. Absolutely, tell me when.
Yeah. And
I'm,
he's
I'm
I'll say this because he's not here. Tim's an awesome guy. I've worked with him since 2021. We started chasing collectibles, and he's very honest. He's we joked about the dealer thing earlier, but I think it goes to show too, like, the importance of like relationships with you know other dealers, but also like customers. Like, we have
Paramount.
people that come
It's
to our tape, our booth every time. Like, hey, you gave me this awesome deal last time. What can you do for me this time?
That's what brings people back. Now,
Mhm.
to some degree, there's two sides to that coin because some people will be like, what can I get out of this guy? Knowing full well that whatever, like if you give them too good of a deal, they're going to go put it on their table, or they're
Yeah, that's
going to
true.
put it on
You gotta be a
mine.
little careful with the vendors. I love my
Yes,
vendor friends, but
I love my vendor friends too, but like there's only one show where I've had only one. Doesn't matter which one, but it's only happened one time where I've actually had to tell a vendor I was like, I can't sell you that stuff for that price, man. Like
right.
that's less than what I've paid for it, and I
Mhm.
know you're going to go put it on your table because every time you buy stuff from me, you go put it on your table.
Yeah.
Like, so it's only happened that time. But Tim and anybody else that's done business with me, I mean, after so many consecutive times, like once I learn somebody's name, once
Mhm.
I actually know the person and we've spoken dozens to hundreds to thousands of times and I know what they're into and I know what they like and I'm like, "Hey, you can have first dibs on stuff."
Yeah.
Like Tim knows about stuff coming out 6 months from now
Mhm.
that it's going to be a while before I have it, but he's like, "When that comes out, I want one of those." I was like, "Okay,
Right.
done,"
Yeah,
because I
exactly.
know Tim is good for it, and I know I know he's keeping it. You know what I
Right.
mean? I know he's not gonna stick
You're
it
gonna
on the
immediately
table.
flip it and
Yeah, yeah. Which and that's not to say I don't want to be misunderstood on this. I don't care if someone buys something from me and resells it. I'm one of those people where I honestly believe once the money exchanges hands, whether digitally or physically, or a trade is made, handshake or not, as soon as you turn and walk away, that deal is done.
yeah, it's your
It was
business what
agreed
you do with it.
upon by two adults. It's a done deal.
Right.
So if they want to go and sell that stuff, they can. But that doesn't mean I'm going to like sell people $30 Marvel Legends figures for $10 so that they can go in.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Well, and it's just so like it's cool being like because we started doing shows in 2022 was our first time doing them. And it's just cool like over time, learning people's names and like people even if they don't buy something, it's cool just to chat with people. Or like I've had people who come up who like know like if I've had a slow show, I've had vendors who like, hey, what can I do for you? Like they'll even like they'll try to buy something from me,
That's
which is
cool.
appreciate, which is always nice.
I have a story about that. So actually, and I will name drop because he absolutely deserves it. There's a guy named Jason Montgomery. I don't know if he knows Tim. I don't know if you guys know him. He's a lot bigger in the South Carolina shows than the North Carolina shows.
Okay.
Um, Jason is honestly one of the I don't know him on like a super personal level. Like we've never hung out outside of a convention. Every time I've ever spoken to that guy, he was nice. Every time I've ever done a deal with him, he was happy to do so. He'd shake my hand. We'd take pictures to put online.
Mm,
He actually helped me last year. I got hurt really bad. I messed up my leg,
mm.
and I had to have a knee brace on for Power Comic Con. That guy showed up at like 6 in the morning to help us at that show,
Oh,
and he
nice.
helped me
That's
for like
awesome.
3 hours because I couldn't kneel, I couldn't bend down, I couldn't whatever, and that guy helped me set up for that show, and I was like, dude, pick a couple figures, like please let
Hmm.
me give you something. He got some figures and stuff, and then on top of that, Tyler, he bought something else. He still
Wow.
bought something, and I got him all these things. He goes, I'll take that one too. I'm like, Jason, you're awesome. So you can meet these people.
Hmm.
A lot of the times they're kind of fewer and far between. Not to say a lot of people aren't nice, but the people that go above and beyond to be great, I would definitely say he's one of them. I would definitely say Tim is one of them too.
Yeah.
And I know Tim had a little bit of a rough go for a little while, and
Hmm.
I'm so happy that he's doing so much better.
Yeah.
Every time I see him, and Mark, my father-in-law, is always asking about him, and we see him at shows, and Mark always comes over and shakes his hand and says hi to him and stuff. And so
Yeah.
Tim has become Tim has become a good friend of ours.
Yeah. No, he's a, and I know it's the last two Nerdfest, like he brought a lot of joy to him. I'm sure he's gonna have a great time at this next one
He
coming
was
up.
so dude. He was like ear to ear smiles that whole day, and he's like walking around. And he's like checking on people and stuff,
Yeah,
and he's coming up to me. He's like, "Are you good? Is everything good?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm great." I'm like,
right.
"Go do your thing. Check on everybody else." I'm like, "I'm fine, dude. I'm
Hmm.
all set." Courtney on the last one, because it wasn't that. It was like kind of close to Halloween,
Yeah,
and she
yeah,
candy. And I would go outside to grab something out of the van, and Courtney's like shaking the bowl at me. Did you need some candy? I probably
exactly. Yeah.
pieces of candy that day, Tyler. I was like,
I had
I was
quite a bit that day as well. It was I was like, hey, we got kids coming for Halloween. Let's buy some candy. I just
yeah,
started taking some, you know. So
yeah, no, and it was cool too because you guys gave candy to all the vendors. We had a big pile of candy out, and whether anybody was buying anything or not, anybody that walked by, I was like,
you
did
get
you get
candy, you good?
you here?
Well,
So
as
it was
we're getting
fun.
close to wrapping up here, I did want to ask you about like, is there any like I know you still like personally collect. Is there any like figure or two that you're like particularly proud of to have in your collection?
Yes, I have them all right here. No, but if I had to only pick a few, so there are um, there are a couple things. Hopefully, we end up doing this again sometime. I tried to find them in time for the show, and I didn't locate it. I have a couple like prototype carded figures that people still swear don't exist, and I'm like,
Mm.
I got one at my house.
Yeah.
Um, but I have a project I'm doing. I'm putting some more shelving up. I have the entire run of the original 77 to 85 Star Wars figures. I have
Oh,
the
nice.
entire run of the original GI Joe 84 to I think I stopped at 91 because
Hmm.
to get more in depth with it, after 91 they all got really fluorescent. They all got
Mm.
like purple and pink and yellow and orange. They all started doing like Nerf colors, and I was like, that's not military. That's terrible. I hate that. I don't want any
Yeah.
part of that. So I stopped, but I have the entire collection up to that point. Um, I am not a DC collector, but I had a couple DC figures I wanted to show you just because they're fairly hard to get, and I actually got them at San Diego Comic Con. They were San Diego Comic Con exclusives.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
these are Doomsday figures made by Mattel. These are the
Oh, that's
DC
cool. I like the cape between his
versions.
hand.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he's actually pinned against his knuckles.
Oh, wow.
Like it's all ripped, and it's actual cloth too. It's not plastic. And then I
That's
have
awesome.
the earlier version of Doomsday when he's still in his containment suit.
Mm. Yeah,
So
that's
for
cool.
DC, I would say those are two of my harder to find figures. The Mondo figures, I have the whole set of the Marvel Mondo figures, and then I have this was a special release when Marvel Legends was doing the X-Men VHS style boxes.
Oh, that's cool.
So they did a whole series of these, and they were based on like the designs of the cartoon.
Mm.
And I actually met the voice of Wolverine, and he personalized this for me and signed it.
Oh, that's sweet. Yeah.
So, and there aren't very many instances where I've been like, I wouldn't say freaking out. Yeah, freaking out. I was freaking out because I was like, oh my God, 5-year-old me is like, I'm meeting Wolverine. He's really
Right.
here. And he was doing the voice the whole time.
Oh,
And
yeah,
like,
that definitely
he had
transports
a,
you there.
he had a set of claws with him. And like, we went to take a picture and he grabbed me by the collar and put the claws to me. And I was like, oh, I'm going to cry. This is amazing.
Right.
Um,
That's peak escapism. Like this is just like the dream right there.
God, he was so down to earth too. Like he was such a nice guy. I really hope I get to meet him again. Um, this is probably the rarest Marvel Legends figure that I have, and technically it's Fantastic Four Classics, but it was made by Toy Biz when they still had
Look at
the
the
Marvel
details
Legends.
on that. That's cool.
So this is Dragon Man. Now,
Mm.
at one point, I have no idea what it's going for now, and I don't particularly care because I wasn't planning on selling it. The value of something only matters to me if I don't want it. Not to
Right.
sound weird or anything, but like if it's for me and it fits in my personal collection, if it's worth 5 cents and I like it, that's all that
Right. It's
matters.
pri yeah, priceless,
But at one
essentially.
point, this was a $750 figure. I have no idea where they sit now because Hasbro re-released a Dragon Man, I believe, last year or the year before. So the
Mm.
value probably came down a little bit, but this was like an insane
Yeah.
hard figure to get a hold of it.
Nice. Yeah, we should
Bag and still has the file card in there. Last I looked, this was like a $200 figure, but that was like 10 years ago. This is from 1991, and
and
it's
which one
never
was
gone.
that?
This is a Cobra Ninja Viper. So
Oh,
it's
nice.
essentially. Or do you know anything about GI Joe? Do you know any of the characters?
I know Cobra. Yeah, I
Okay.
know the yeah.
You know who Storm Shadow is? I'm sure the White Ninja.
I do not.
It's okay if you don't,
We need
Tyler.
Tim. I need maybe I need to
There's
call
no
Tim.
grading system in this. So it's a Storm Shadow figure, just recolored, and I think
Okay.
that's why so many people liked it because it's the 1984 mold of Storm
Hmm.
Shadow, which everyone always says is the best Storm Shadow figure that's ever been made.
Next time
And
we should
then
do a tour, and I'll Tim will guest host with me, and he can translate
Tim
80s
would
stuff that I don't know.
Tim would be like, Russell, turn the camera. What's that one? What's that
Yeah,
up? I have some pretty I have some pretty wild stuff in here, man. Like we could do another whole episode on any
we
given toy
should. Yeah, after Nerdfest for sure. I'd be down.
line. I bought these when I was overseas. I went overseas for some years. I had a government job for a little bit. And so there were some G.I. Joes that they made back in the 80s that you could only buy in Europe, which most American collectors don't have. Most American collectors have never even seen. They had a yard sale in the town that I was. This is the most wild story, and it's all true, and I love it. They had a town wide yard sale in Germany where I lived, and I went to check it out. I was super hungover the next morning. I was like walking around in the sun and then drinking a beer, like hanging out, checking out this little town sale. And I came across this guy that had a bunch of toys, and I bought pretty much everything he had. And among them were some of the European only GI Joes.
Oh,
So
nice.
these are like the Tiger Force versions. Tiger Force just meant they all had like tiger
Hmm.
related costumes. But these are I've never seen these anywhere in person, Tyler. I've never seen these at a shop. I've only ever seen them on eBay, and I cannot stress enough how rare they are because you could not buy them anywhere
Yeah,
except mainland Europe and UK. That was the
that's
only
special.
place
You
that
just
sold
found them
these
walking
figures.
around.
I found him at a yard sale, and the guy liked me enough that we had a beer together. Like it was
Excellent.
the coolest day ever. It was amazing. So these are two of the more rare and valuable pieces that I own, and I have told Allie I shall be buried with these whenever that is. Hopefully, not for a long time.
Yeah.
I still have a lot of hair to lose, so at the end of that, maybe I'll call it quits. But
We definitely
not
need to like I want to do a follow up and like I said, Tim will be here and we'll just go through, do a whole show and tell. That'd be awesome.
there's so there's still all those cabinets.
Oh,
One
many
of which
things.
I'm putting together. Those are all my He-Man boxes. If we go right here, I'm sorry for the shininess, everyone.
Oh,
So
dang, wow.
the very top up here, like these with the numbers on them. So those are GI Joe classified figures. I have the entire series so far, Tyler. And every time we get a case of new Joes, I keep one for myself. So I have, and it wraps all the way around this room. I
For
have
those
all of them.
for those interested, would you like to say your address for the fans at home?
No,
If any
but I will say if anybody does decipher my address, I have a really, really great security system, and I will reiterate, I spent many years overseas, and I would like it very much for anyone to not come and try and take my toys.
I understand those context clues.
I wouldn't. I would be displeased, and I'm not necessarily Bruce Banner, but you wouldn't like me when I'm displeased.
Well,
Let me show you this, Tyler, just so everybody
I like it.
knows. I'm not playing around.
No,
So
for sure. I do usually like to end the show with like one somewhat unrelated question.
okay,
So since you are like, there's a lot of driving that goes on with like conventions and stuff. I'm a big like music fan. I listen to a lot of like 60s and 70s stuff. Do you have a particular like genre of music you love listening to, just either like on your own or like when you're driving to shows? What's usually on your playlist?
so if I'm driving to shows, the vast majority of the time, I mean, it's very rare at this point that Mark is not with me. So if we're listening, a lot of the times we'll listen to podcasts. about
Okay,
like
yeah, I love listen to a lot
something
of podcasts too.
something we like. Like
Yeah,
we're like, hey, so there's a lot of really crazy stuff going on with like technology and science, and we'll like listen to that, and we'll end up pausing it and be like, dude, so this is real. Like we're
right.
lasers or like something,
Yeah.
So something like that. If we are listening to music, we're listening to metal usually.
Okay.
If you see me at a show and I don't have some shirt related to toys, I'm
Yeah.
probably wearing an Iron Maiden shirt or I'm probably wearing a Megadeth shirt. Like
Why
we're
why
listening
was
to those.
whenever I do these, if I and I, this is purely research, I usually do a little bit of snooping, look like Instagram and all that. And I know that you put were you an Aussie fan?
I was an Aussie fan. I had a chance to go to Ozfest one year and I couldn't get it off from work.
Mm,
And I remember thinking to myself, I was like, this is exactly why someday I need to work for myself
yeah.
because of like this is an opportunity that I'm going to miss out on. And I never got to see Ozzy live.
Mm.
It
So
never
that's
happened.
a lot of the people that I like are like in their 70s and 80s, and that's where like unfortunately concert tickets are just absurdly expensive now. But
Oh my
I usually bite it because
God.
I'm like I saw McCartney in November. I'm like, well, how many times is he gonna go around? Or like I'm
Go
seeing
just
Bob
spend it at
Dylan.
that point. For somebody like
Yeah,
him, for somebody like that, I'm okay with. Allie and I had looked into going to a concert in August, and Allie was like, she was like, "Oh, it's going to be really great. It's like $200 for all three of us." I was like, "Buy the tickets."
yeah, yeah,
And then she went back on to do it, and then she went, "Oh, that's like outside seating." I'm like, "Outside?" She's like, "Yeah, we'd
uh,
be looking at a screen." I'm like, "Well, what do they have
mm,
for seats?" The actual seats inside, it was like 378 a person, and I'm like,
yeah. It's gotten
"Dude,
so bad.
I I don't want to go so bad to spend $1,000."
I mean, even my parents could see like I mean, they've told me like my mom saw Queen, my dad saw Black
And
Sabbath.
how
Well, I
much
think it
did
was
she spend to go see Queen? 40
I
bucks?
think I
40
think it
bucks?
was something like super cheap compared to like
Oh,
I mean I remember the 90s, not that I was cognizant, but I know in the 90s like with Kurt Cobain he was ranting about how like tickets shouldn't be more than like $30-$40, and now look at them
right,
today, so
right.
it's gotten so
There's
bad.
a clip of him that has kicked around for years that he's like, Madonna's charging how much for her show? And they're like,
Yeah,
yeah, how much do you guys charge? He's like $30
right, exactly.
for
It's just
Nirvana, which regardless of how you felt about Nirvana, if you like the music or you like the people or not, they were a big band.
right.
Everybody knew they were known around the world. So like one of their tickets being that cheap.
Yeah, no, it's you would not hear that. They've got the dynamic pricing and like things go. It's frustrating, and I hate that like for like because I'm a high school teacher, and like I just wonder like for my students like will you is seeing concerts now like a luxury? I mean, it pretty much is. Like if you
That's so
can't,
sad. That's
you
that's
know,
so that's so heartbreaking to me, Tyler, because you're gonna have however, and I think it honestly stopped halfway through my generation because
Mm,
one of the last concerts I went to see as a teenager, excuse me, was Green Day, Blink 182, and who Saves the Day, I think, was the third band.
mm,
And that was like, I think that was $150. And I had to save up like 2 weeks of working at my job
yeah.
to make that money,
And now
washing dishes
today you
in the
can't even go
kitchen.
to one show for that,
Like,
like one band
no,
for
you
that.
can't
Yeah,
even. I don't think you can go by yourself to a show for $150.
right. So it's
I
just
it's just
I feel for
it's
for
sad.
this. Because I think
Yeah,
live music is great. I like seeing stuff live. And it's just like you got to break the bank. You got to take out the credit card. You got to think about, okay, I can do payments, and just it hurts. You know.
yeah. Maiden
So
or was it Maiden or Megadeth? One of the two. Don't quote me. It was one of those two bands. What came around either last year or the year before, and I was gonna take Mark, and I looked at the ticket pricing, and just to get anywhere to where you could see the stage and not be up in nosebleeds, it was going to be
yeah,
$1,200 for the two of us, and I was like, oh my god, man,
yeah.
$1,200. Like I
No,
I know it's going to be a good show, but like
that's a
that's
mortgage payment.
that's literally a mortgage payment. You know, spend
Yeah,
a mortgage payment on going to an evening
yeah.
to do that. Like, oh man. So we ended up
Well,
not going. I was really bummed, but
Well, you know what isn't $1,200?
Nerdfest,
A ticket to Nerdfest.
a ticket to Nerdfest,
And if you're
mm,
12 and under, you're getting free.
which is
And
really nice.
there's food trucks, comics, toys, Ghostbusters, all the things.
The
So,
Ghostbusters are, first of all, awesome people. By the way, I have spoken
amazing
to them
people. They've been
at
on the show. They're
so many
great.
shows.
Yeah.
I know most of them on a first name basis. They're awesome. They all have a great sense of humor. They do so much for all the kids at these shows too, which is
Yeah.
a really big deal too, because those
Hmm.
kids are going to grow up and turn into fans. So
Exactly. You got
be
to
nice
treat
to
the kids
them,
great.
give
I will
them a
give the
good
best deals to
experience
kids.
that they want to keep it alive.
Yeah.
And at your last one, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure there was like a big backdrop that looked like an original Ghostbusters 1980s
Yes,
back
exactly.
that
Yeah.
you could stand in front of and take a picture. And
Hmm.
I was so busy at Nerdfest that I didn't get to take a picture with it. So I hope it's there this time. And I'm going to do it at the beginning of the show. I'm
Yeah.
not messing around this time. Because
I'll
Mark was
find you
like,
and remind you.
"Did you go get the picture?" I'm like, no, I missed it. It's gone
Yeah,
now.
for sure. It's going to be a
So
good time, and we're really excited that you're going to be at Nerdfest. You've been at all of them, and it's always a good one. I know I'm biased, but it's going to be a great time.
I think I've had a blast at all of them so far. And the other nice thing is it's been steady.
Yeah.
There are a few that I've done the past couple of years that they'll be busy in the morning and then it just bottoms out. And so you make all your money the first couple hours and then
Then you're
hang
done.
out,
Yeah.
have some snacks, and
Kick
talk to
back.
people, and that's it.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it'll be a good time, and I appreciate you making the time to come on today, and looking forward to seeing you, I guess, this Saturday now for Nerdfest.
Yeah, absolutely. I will be there. I'm excited.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, man. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too, Tyler. Thank you.
All right. Bye.